Hi, this is Mandy from Sunflowers and Doors. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to we're doing a series in creating a journal from scratch. The first journal cover we created was a hardcover, and we're going to do a soft cover now. And I'm going to use this packaging, which is really cool. Now this packaging is doubled over here, but I'm going to keep, you could take that out, but I'm going to keep that because I want it to be scrunchy. So we're going to start by measuring, and I've already gone, I'm going to use, I'm going to create 4 signatures in this one, whereas we did 2 in the hardcover. But I'm only going to have 6 pages per signature on this one, so it allows a lot of growth. I need to choose my signatures first because I need to make sure that they're going to fit the measurements that I'm going to be putting in place for this. So again, as of, well, it was yesterday for me, but I'm not sure what date it's going to be. I've got a load of papers here, and I'm going to use these as my signatures. So I've got 1, 2, that's all bits and pieces to use inside the journal. So is that 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to do, how many signatures did I say? 4. So we've got, they're my 4 packs, and that's the coffee dyed paper. I'm going to get the rest of my coffee dyed paper first, so that's 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, another, and another 2. I want some music sheets, so I've got maybe 3, 3, 3, 3. Then I've got some of this vintage style paper, which is like a vintage, supposed to be like a vintage tea stain, coffee stain type style. So I'm just looking through those, see if I've got any more of it. Okay. So I've got 1, 2, 3. So I don't have a 4th one of those here, but I do have a 4th one. So I'll pop another one of those. I'll put that in there for now, and then I can replace that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets. I have got some flowers, so 5. 5, 5. In fact, if I've got another one from that set, I might use that because it'll be uniform then throughout. So that's 5. And then I need one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to go for 6. I think I'm going to go for that one there. Go for another coffee dyed there. Go for that one there. Go for that one there, I think. So that's 6 pages for each. So 1, 2, and again I'm just separating my coffee dyes so they're not all together. But I am going to have 2 together here, unless I just put another signature page in. So I'll go for another music sheet page there. So that'll be 1. And I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to go for 1 more now, so we're going to increase all of these to 7. Before I even look at stitching these in, I'm going to go through them all to make sure they're all the right way up, and that's something I would say just double check all the way, because I can't tell you how many times I've sewn signatures in that have been upside down or whatever. So that's that there, and then the final one, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So we've got 4 signatures, 7 pages to each signature, which is going to give us 7, 14, 28, 28, 56, 112 journaling pages, and that is going to be what we're looking at. So I'm going to cut my my cover down now, and then we'll just double check that the signatures fit in. So I have got some initial measurements that I put together, and that is I want this to be 36.5 centimeters wide, and I'm going to allow 3, 4.5, 5 and 5.5 centimeters for the spine area. So 36.5, 36.5, 36.5. So let's just draw a line and join these up. So that's how wide my cover's going to be. It should be okay. And then height, I want it to be 21.5 centimeters tall. So it's that. Just have to stand up a minute, make sure I got it right. 21.5. So they should line up here. Okay. Now that looks quite small. So let me fold this over to this part here, because that's going to be the halfway. Let's just check our signatures are going to go in there. there's plenty of room actually, probably more room than I need, but it does allow them to grow. So that's reassuring that they fit in there, but it's not going to be tall enough. So I'm glad I checked. I don't know why that's saying it's not going to be tall enough. It will, but it's going to be quite a tight fit. So I'm going to come down an extra centimetre from here. So we're going to do 22.5 centimetres. That'll just give us a little bit more playroom. Don't know why I'm using that, because I want to make sure they all match. Okay, so that's that. We're happy that the signatures are going to fit, and we can play around with the signatures a little bit if we need to. I'm going to see if my big cutter will fit this in. No, it won't. Okay. So we're going to have to go with the cut, which I hate doing because I am absolutely dreadful at cutting. Straight line. Okay. And then this should fit in the bottom. No, it's not going to do that either, is it? Okay. Excuse me. So let's cut that. You'll have to bear with me because I absolutely hate doing videos like this, recording them, because something always goes wrong. And when you're videoing, there's a lot more pressure to try and get it right in the first take. So you'll have to bear with me. Okay, that's not too bad. I'm keeping these, I'm keeping those for a reason. So I'm just going to pop those over to one side. Putting my scissors away. Corey would be proud of me. And I'm just going to cut this to make sure it's straight. I haven't got an awful lot to play with. So I'm just taking the tiniest of pieces off. And this is going to be our cover. Now let me just take this off because this has got my details on there. I don't have a pen to go over that, but I do have somewhere some ink. Probably not the best, but we're okay with that. So what I'm going to be looking to do is I'm going to be creating a pocket in here, but I need to glue some of these odd bits that are just sticking out. And like I said, I'm not going to cut down the excess because I want to keep it for some added stability. So I'm going to go with fabric tack, and I'm going to start just by gluing down. Let me just double check. I don't want to glue the actual, I don't want to glue that down, but I can glue this section down. So that's going to be glued down, and I'm also going to glue this bit down. So I'm still left with an open piece here, which I want to have, but I've glued down some of the other bits that were sticking out, and I'm going to glue down this piece here. So all I want really is just access to one of the sides. Okay, so that's going to be my cover. I'm going to, so this, if we imagine this folded here, that's pretty much going to be the cover there, and it will fit our journal in. In fact, it's probably a bit too wide this way, so I'm going to take a little bit more of that. Let's try that again. Better fit, and I know it's going to be bigger, but this will be growing, so I think that should be okay. So we've ended up, instead of 36.5 centimeters in width, we've ended up with 35, and instead of 21.5 centimeters in height, we've ended up with 22.5. Okay. So I'm okay with that. The next thing we need to decide on is the materials we're going to use. Now I've got this left over from the other one, and there's plenty enough to cover this, and I think this would look nice as a squishy journal. I've also got this, which I would use for the inside. But I do have this, which again would probably look lovely as a squishy journal. But I'm gonna stick with those. So the idea is, again, we're going to need enough fabric to cover this. So I'm going to cut this down here and just tear that. And I'm going to keep this because I'll need this for the flap we're going to build in. So let's just make sure that fits, which it does. And I will be cutting a lot of this down because I don't want all of this excess. I'm not going to be folding it over. I could fold it over, in fact. And then the second piece that I want needs to be a better fit. So this would need to be, let's get rid of that there. Let's do this end, I think. So this is pretty much needs to be the same size as the journal. Okay, that's good. That's a good fit. And then we'll take off this excess bit here. There's a couple of ways of doing this. what I normally do with a soft cover is I have both the front and the back fabric the same size, and I literally just glue them onto here with probably about 1/8 of an inch above left over, and then stitch it so you've got a bit of a rough end. But you can also fold over the material you've got here, which would give you probably a little bit more to glue with. It's not that thick a material either, so I don't think I'd have to cut this, and it would give us that squish. Oh, see, I can't ever make my mind up. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. So I'm going to grab some PVA glue. I tend to prefer Fabri-Tac, but I think because it's such a large cover and a large area to cover, I'm gonna go with the PVA. Let's see if I can open it. Oh gosh, I got it all over me now. That wasn't clever. Oh gosh, don't even know where my wet wipes are either. Okay, bear with me. Okay, so I've got an old cloth there, which wasn't clever. This stuff is lethal, mind. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a thin layer of PVA glue all over this. Move that out the way. Well, I'm not going to, do you know what? I'm not going to be able to do it this way because of the pocket. I've just realised. I can. Yeah, I can. I'll just have to put the pocket in slightly differently. And the stitching won't be exactly what I'm after either. So I'm going to think as I'm doing this about how I want to play it. And then I can always top it up. But I am going to be stitching around it, so it hasn't got to be perfect. Okay, let's move that a second. Let's pop our fabric down. Make sure it's the right way. And let's pop our cover onto our fabric. Now I can feel a little bit of damp, which is where the glue is, and I don't want that glue to come through. So I'm going to let that dry naturally now. but you can hear the crinkliness, which is great. So I'm going to let that dry naturally because I don't want to wreck that. But in the same breath, I still want to be able to get access to here. So I'm going to create quickly my flap because I want a flap to go in this pocket. So I'm going to use what I've got here, which is the leftover paper. And I need something that's going to be not quite as tall as this, not far off it, but not quite as tall, which will be here. And then I think that width is probably okay. Yeah, so I'm just literally going with paper that is just under the height of what I'm working with. Okay, so just under there. And in terms of width, this is, say, 13 centimeters. I'm going to take it down to 12 centimeters. Just over there because I want it. And then let's grab some of this. And I'm going to make sure that this is 12 centimeters. I'm going to glue this together just because I want the two pieces. I want a little bit of extra than just one, even though it's a nice thick paper. And it certainly withheld the rain. They delivered it outside the house. And it was raining and everything, so I wasn't too impressed. But it didn't wreck what was inside, surprisingly. Okay, I'm gonna close my PVA glue a second because I didn't like the way that came through. Gosh. Pop this to one side. And I'll worry about that later. Okay, so I'm going to fold this in half a second because I want a rounded curve to my flap. So I'm going to fold that in half. So I get the same curve on both ends, and I'm just going to cut a curve there. Hasn't got to be perfect, just cut a curve. And then that will give me a flap that I can pop. Yeah. Just making sure this wasn't upside down. This will give me a flap that I can pop in here like this, and then it'll fold over. So this will be glued in here, say, like this. And it will be folded over there like that. So that'll be an inside flap pocket. And that will then be my journal. Okay, I think that'll work. What I have to hope now is that this piece I've cut fits on top. Okay. of that glue there. Not the best way to do it, but it's quite satisfying. Okay, and we're gonna try and glue this on here. And don't forget, I'm going to be stitching it, so we're just making sure at this point that the cover is going to stick. And again, I'm just going to quickly go over that with my finger so that if there's any balls of glue, they shouldn't, in theory, come through. And this is the million-dollar question now as to whether this will fit. So I'm going to go up there to the top, and then I'm going to see if this will stretch down. Okay, so that just fits in there, which is great. Okay. Right, now, the next thing I'm going to do, while that is all drying, is I'm going to cover this flap with the same two T-reels. So I'm hoping this bit will fit, which it does. Doesn't matter whether you do it which way you do them. I'll show you more shortly. So this will create an inside flap for a side pocket in the journal cover. And I don't make journal covers as a rule, soft covers, just something I don't do, but I watched Marley from Marley's Designs and was really inspired by her planner journals. So that is what I'm basing this on. Okay. Glue everywhere, sorry. Okay, and I'm going to cut around that. And then I will stitch it, but I'm just going to cut around it at the moment. So that's one. And then the second fabric I'm using is going to be this one here. So that should go there. And I can probably then use this fabric for inside pieces, pockets, ruffles, whatever. Kind of whatever looks good. Okay, and then I'm just going to do exactly the same. I'm going to cut around this. Okay, and then that will be like this inside the journal pocket, and you can either have it this way like this so that it alternates there, and when you open this side it would be, that would be okay. So it would be like that, and then this would go in there like that when it folds, I think is the idea. Marks on this already. And then with this one, because it's, you know, I talked about the other one and using the lace, I quite fancy using that long piece of lace on this one somehow. So it's going to be a squishy journal. Or I might have to cover the whole of this because of how badly I've done with that glue. And again, that would look really cool, and then I could use these two as panels. I don't know, but there's lots of options. Okay, so the next step is going to be, I'm not happy with that. I shouldn't have gone with the PVA glue, definitely not. Should have stuck with the Fabri-Tac, but lesson learned. So the idea now is going to be, I'm going to have to stitch around here first and stitch here. Let's think about what's going to be here. Okay, so I'm going to have to stitch along here, and then this is going to be glued in here like that, and I'm going to want to stitch along the other side. Trying to think now how this is going to work. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this excess fabric off. And it doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to fray and all sorts is going to happen with it. Could even have used your my cutter, because that does work quite well, but I'm not going to do that now. Okay, so that will be the soft cover of the journal. Okay, so that will fold like this, but it won't be a perfect like that because it's got your spine's got to be got to fit a little bit. And then we're going to have this. We're going to glue this here like that, and I might have to open this up a little bit in order to. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to cut this open a little bit in order to do my stitching as I want to do it. But that's okay because, see, it gives me more room to play with, and it gives me better stitch down here. That's okay because we're going to be stitching everything else then as well, okay? So I'll be stitching down here separately, then I'll be stitching down there, and then I'll stitch around the whole thing. So I'll leave it there and I'll come back once I've done that stitching. Okay, so I've stitched around it, and I've created my pocket here. So you can use that for keeping ephemera, doing whatever it is that you want to do with that. And that will pretty much be the journal, but it will, because it's a soft spine, it will have lots of room for growing. Now, what I want to do quickly is I want to mark the centerpiece. And I'm using a friction pen because you can get rid of the mark. So I put a little mark here, and I put a little mark here, which are my centerpieces, and that will give me a bit of an idea as to where my spine goes. So that is there like that. Now, before I do anything else, I want to have a look at I've got to cover this, and like I said, there's a couple of options with things like this, and if I'm going to want to use these, I'm going to want to cover it now so that I can stitch that on, but I think that's a bit big, so I don't think I'm going to do that. Now I could do this as like that and like that. So that's an option, but it does leave the back quite bare. Or what I think I might do, because if I keep those for the other journal, is I could put a panel on here. This is just like plain sheet. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a look and see how thick this is. And if I cut this here, okay, I'm going to take this end piece off, even though I do like that. I think it adds a bit of character. But I'm going to take it off. But I am going to keep that because I might use that for something in the journal. So what I was thinking was if I put a panel on, something like if I put a panel on something like this, so if I had a panel like that, and then put this on top of that, so I'd have like a layered panel, and then I'd put something on top of that again. I don't know whether I'm going to like this, but we're just going to bite the bullet because I need to do any stitching now before I think about my signatures. So I'm talking about something like that. And then I would do a base, a piece on top of that. What that piece on top of that would look like, I don't know. And it could possibly have been better to have had that underneath, because that would have matched the inside of the journal better, although I think it might be a bit busy. We'll have a look. So that would be like that, and then that would be like that, although I'd have to cut it down a little bit more. Because that will then bring the back cover in as well. I didn't want to have to go down this route, but unfortunately the glue's come through in a few places and I don't want to leave it like that. It's marked the fabric and made it look a little bit brownish there as well. So I could put that on the back as well, so it would be like front and back. That's an option. And I think I'm going to go with that, and then what will happen is we will obviously put some embellished pieces on the front then. That's roughly the same height width, which is good. And then I can cut that down there, like that. So I've got a piece for the front, a piece for the back. Did I have any more of this left? I'm hoping so. And I'm definitely going to use that inside the journal somewhere. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that will be a panel, and it hasn't got to be perfect because the whole point is that it's like a grungy type look. So that'll be a panel for the front, like that, and that'll be a panel for the front and the back. Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of glue stick, because I just want to keep this on while I'm sewing it, but I don't want to create a problem for myself. So I'm going to do without all of this, and then I'll come back once I'm done. So I'll see you shortly. Oh, oopsie daisy. Oh, sorry, wrecking the joint. Okay, so I made a huge faux pas, just as well it wasn't on camera. And I stitched around my edgings here, which I think looks quite nice. And then I stitched around my edgings here, which I thought looked quite nice. And then I realised that I had stitched my pocket closed. So what I have had to do now is let me just put a little knot in this. What I've had to do now is I had to unstitch it all, not all of it, but unstitch the whole of the one side. Just want to put a knot there, just so that. So I had to unstitch this piece, but then I realised I'd stitch this. So I was in a bit of a dilemma and thought, right, okay, shall I just use that as a closure? Then I thought it's not going to suit the type of journal I'm trying to achieve. So that was a no. So how do we fix this? Okay, so all I have done to fix it is literally I have unstitched the stitching that was across this side here, and I put another piece of fabric on just as a little, because it's the back, just adds a little bit of interest on the end, and it hid the fact that there was no stitch mark down there. And now I've got a pocket again, but this time it's only, that is the size of my pocket, but it's still big enough to pop some little bits and pieces in, so I'm okay with that. We rescued it. The other thing I did was stitched along the bottom in a zigzag stitch, as well as the single line stitch. So that is our front and back of the journal. It's not finished, obviously, because I need to put a central piece on another journal I'm working with, which is a smaller journal. See if I can find it, guys. Yeah, got it. Got it. So this is another journal I'm working with, which was the same materials, but I used an old book for this because I wanted to use the old book for spines and stuff. So I love this, and I might create something similar on the front of this as I did here, because I think that might look quite nice, but we'll see. I'm still working on this journal. I've done all the signatures. So I've done all the signatures for this one. I just need to stitch them in, embellish that a little bit more, but that's pretty much done. So that'll be coming soon. But this one here is going to be our soft cover, and of course we've already created our hard cover. So still some embellishing to do on these. This is going to be elastic closure, and there's 2 signatures in that one. And this one here is going to be sewn in signatures with some embroidery floss. And I'm not going to have a closure as such, because I do want this to be able to grow like this. So I'll probably just use some ribbon to keep her closed. I will put a closure on here, And the way I'm going to do that is may as well do that now actually. Let's grab our little thingamybobby, and I'm going to just cut out some circles. Like that. And I'm going to glue some of these together to make them more sturdy. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, go for 5, I think. So there's 5 there. One, 2. 3. 4. And 5. And then I'm going to cover them with the fabric I've used. So I'm going to cover 1. With that fabric there. And I'm going to do number 2 with, I don't know if I've got enough fabric to do that. I'll soon see. Yeah, just. Number 2. I'm going to cover with that fabric. Like that. And then I am going to cut these out. So we've got 1 there, and I'm going to cut this one out as well. It doesn't have to have a closure because your signatures are going to keep it closed, but it does add a little bit of extra interest. So the idea is we would have 1 on here. I think I'd probably go for the alternate one there, and 1 there, perhaps. So let's do a little bit of a mark there. Do a little bit of a mark there. And then I'm going to get my this. I'm going to see if that'll, no, it's obviously not going to reach in there, is it? I've got a big bite that I'll have to get out. Don't think that's going to go in there either. And I'm not sure that that's going to go in there either. No, it's not. So I'll have to get my big bite out. I'm not going to keep you with that now. But the idea is I will create a little hole in the middle of this here. And a little hole in the middle of this one here. that's not going to work, is that? Oh gosh, no, that's not going to work. So I'll have to get the big bite out and see whether it'll go through that. It should go through because it's not actually as thick as it looks. Otherwise, the other option is I'll take this up here so it's as big as I can get it. Like that. On there. Hold that. And a hole there. And then the idea is that I attach it with threads. So that will go in there like that, and then we just open the insides. Which would be easy if I could see what I was doing. Open that a little bit first. Put those in there. And then I should be able to open that. Yeah. Okay, so that's one. And I'm going to pop a little bit of tape inside of that, just so it doesn't catch things as they're going in. Like that. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. I'll pop that through there. I probably should have inked these first. Not that I'm planning on inking any of this particularly, so okay. So we'll pop that in there. Over there, like that. And then I'm just going to pop a little piece of fabric over that. It doesn't matter that it's a different colour fabric because it matches the other side. Okay, and then all I need is some cord to go around. I'll tie some cord around here and then have it go around there. That'll keep that closed, and then you've still got access to your pocket. Thank goodness I didn't go all the way through the pocket again. So that is that. The signatures, sewing in the signatures on this one is going to be more tricky because of the fact that it hasn't got a spine as such. So it's going to be kind of like this kind of thing. But I'm going to need to create a template that I use for the signatures. I could do that now. I'm sorry if you've lost the will and you've gone already, but let's do this now. So this needs to be as tall as my journal, which will give me that. And then I want this to be as wide as my signatures need to be. So I'm going to be 5.5, I think I said, didn't I? 5.5 centimetres. Job covers are the worst thing for me with signatures. They really, really are. With journals, covers and signatures is really hard. Okay. So how we're going to work this is, I'm going to pop that up the way. We need to come across, this will be interesting as to how right I get this, 0.5 centimetre, then 1.5, then 1.5, then 1.5. Okay. Half, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, and then half again. So I'm going to draw my lines. One there. One there. One there. And one there. Excuse me, there's going to be 5-hole pamphlet stitch. So I'm going to fold there, which will give me my centre piece. And I'm going to fold this. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to kind of guesstimate it, I think. I'm going to come down 5 centimetres, no, 4 centimetres there, then another, that's not going to be enough, 5 centimetres, and then 5 centimetres. Centimetres, and then 5 centimetres. And I would say take your time with this element, because if your signatures start looking wonky, then it kind of spoils the whole look, although you don't have to be perfect at it either. Oh, that's a bit squiffy before I even start, isn't it? So yeah, just take a little bit of time with your signatures, especially if you want them to look half decent. So my signatures would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to go into my journal here. So I've put my center marks there. Okay, so the top of my journal, and all I'm doing is marking a line where the journal cover ends. So I could cut those off. Yeah, I'm going to cut those off. That's my top. And I'm going to cut that off. So this should be the same size as my journal, but it's not going to be the same size as my signatures, because my signatures are going to be smaller than my journal. So what I'll be doing is when I do come to do my signatures, I'll kind of guesstimate them there, and then I can make, that's going to go quite high up. Yeah, it's going to go quite high. So I'm going to start again, almost, and I'm going to come up here 4 centimeters. Sorry, I'm just trying to, no, I'm not. I've got the bottom, the middle section there. I'm going to come up 3.5, and then I'm going to come up another 3.5. See, these are all the things the mistakes you make, but when you're on camera, I suppose it's good in a way because other people can see it's not necessarily straightforward. And we all kind of mess up on times, you know. So I think they're going to fit, this is going to fit my signatures better. Because your signatures then will be kind of like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's going to fit my signatures much better. So again, 3.5. 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. My vertical lines are fine. It's just these horizontal ones I had a bit of a moment with. Okay, so that's now my template. So how this will work is I've lined up where my template is here. So I'm going to fold this in half. Fold that in half. I'm just going to put some ink down here a minute, just so I can see where my half is. And then what will happen is, that's my half, so that'll have to match up with that line there. So that'll go on there like that. And then this half needs to match up with that line there. So this will go on here like that. So then when it comes to my signatures, I'm going to have one sewn in here, one here, one here, one here. If we imagine this furthest one is going to be here, we've only just, see, got enough fabric to come over there, which is fine. And if we say this one, we've got enough fabric for that to come over there. So that is pretty much perfect. If you can even make, if you can make any head nor tail out of what I've done with this cover, good on you. Because I change the measurements constantly. But hopefully you've got it now as we've moved on. So that is going to be my soft cover journal. That is my hard cover journal. And I've got some signatures and some fabric to go in that. Then we've got my little book, converted book or altered book journal, which will be this one here. So 3 journals that we're working on at the moment. And I've got lots and lots of fabric scraps all over the place. Yeah, so I think we're starting to see some results. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'll come back on the next video when I'm looking at putting all the signatures and bits and pieces together. But I'm going to do that for both journals, possibly even all 3 journals, but I'll definitely be doing it for a joint kind of thing as we kind of progress to that. So I hope it was of use, of benefit. Excuse me, I'm going to be doing a full craft with me version where we go through it minute by minute, and I'm going to try and do a edited version, although I'm having a few problems at the moment with my software. So I'll try and do an edited version where you can kind of just catch up on the highlights elements if that's something that you're interested in. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Hope you're all well. Stay well until we catch up again, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.